public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
How things are changing in America. For more than 40 years, the only answer to drugs has been declaring war on them. And then, all of a sudden, legalization came along.
Well, it literally happened overnight. So for us dinosaurs, it takes a lot more to get our mind around it than the brand new younger officer.
And with a new law comes a lot of new opportunities.
I'm no crusader. I'm in it for the money. I view it as buying distilleries or breweries right before Prohibition ended.
The last time I was in a room like this, it was on a police raid. But the growing of marijuana is emerging from the shadows. It's been legalized not just for medicinal, but for recreational use in Colorado and here in Washington state, where a huge experiment is going on and a multi-billion-dollar industry is blooming.
This particular strain is really great for a variety of things, headaches, cramps, stomach soothing type things, and again, anything with pain.
Can you make a comparison between this and, let's say, alcohol in terms of strength?
Yes. Okay, so these are going to be more like a light beer. Okay. This is going to be more like a whiskey.
Okay. Angel Swanson is in the medical marijuana business, but as soon as her license comes through, she'll be selling it for recreational use. Angel used to be avidly anti-cannabis. Her daughter had lifelong digestion problems, which only improved when her college friend gave her hash cookies.
I was very, very, very upset. So in investigating how I explained to her how horrible of an idea this was, you know, she would lose her scholarship, she would lose all these wonderful things in life, I came to find out that the plant was not nearly as lethal as I was led to believe.
Legalization of cannabis means people now know how strong a dose is, however they take it. And there'll be licensed producers, distributors and retailers. It'll be taxed heavily, 25% at every level.
Can this get any better?
And this is what legalized recreational cannabis looks like. A year to the day since voters backed a ballot measure proposed by marijuana activists, they hosted a party, the first time they'd ever been given a permit to smoke dope in public. Well, in a big tent, out of view, a long way from the nearest school. There have been many challenges for those tasked with creating a legal industry out of something that was illegal. And as far as the federal government is concerned, it's still a Category 1 controlled substance, like heroin or cocaine.
It's a crime under U.S. federal law to launder money, to introduce the proceeds of criminal activity into the banking system. And since cannabis selling is criminal activity under federal law, banks are refusing to open accounts for cannabis stores, which means the customers can't use credit cards and the store can't deposit its receipts at the end of the day.
Washington state has had a liberal approach to marijuana for the past decade, when police in Seattle reclassified it as the lowest priority. In the city where the first ever Starbucks opened, there are already now twice as many dope shops than outlets of the famous coffee chain. Legalization and loopholes around its legality is attracting all sorts of entrepreneurs and investors.
We used to fly also drug interdiction flights in this airplane.
Jim Willits used to fly for the Navy, chasing drug shipments along the west coast of America. He'd never touched drugs and even voted against legalization, but then realized there was money in it.
Never occurred to me in my wildest dreams that I would be an investor in this industry when at the time we're trying to put the people in jail. And the irony of that, the supreme irony of that, just cannot be missed.
Security systems, software to help businesses keep track of tax. Jim's found a whole variety of new investment opportunities.
When I loan money, I earn at least 18% return, and my bank is paying me 1%. My investments in these two startup companies, I expect to make anywhere from 10 to 100 times my money back on those if I'm successful. So marijuana has been very good to me so far.
For a man who's never smoked it and doesn't know much about it.
For somebody who knows nothing about marijuana, it's been very good to me.
It's been a huge change for the police to deal with, both in the mindset of officers and also the public, as many people still believe cannabis should be illegal.
We are, whether we want to be or not, on the forefront of somewhat of a, if not a revolution, at least a pretty quickly moving evolution. And we don't know where we're going to be in a year, let alone 5 years.
Do you think this marks an indicator that the war on drugs has been a failure?
I would say the way that we've addressed it, yes, because the majority of the people that we've addressed are people who are addicted. In the old war on drugs, it was only how many people have we put in prison, how many pounds or kilos have we seized. That did nothing toward the prevention side, and certainly nothing toward the addiction.
The Green Revolution is accelerating fast, but there are still things to iron out. If it's too cheap or too expensive, it could spark illegal trade over state borders. Medical users want to keep growing their own, and tax dollars have to be spent properly on keeping it out of the hands of the under-21s.
The big challenge remaining is how to prevent a big increase in drug abuse, given that you're making a drug cheaper and easily available and taking away the legal and the social stigma. And that's going to have to be addressed.
How is that done?
Maintaining price, limiting marketing, providing consumer information that will help people behave reasonably. In the extreme, it's not something that either state has considered yet, but I would urge them to consider it. Require every consumer to register as a consumer and to set a personal quota.
There's a lot more to this than just letting people who've been smoking dope for years suddenly start doing it legally. It costs a huge amount of money to put and keep tens of thousands of people in prison because of marijuana offences. More than half of America already supports legalization. And let's face it, which state wouldn't want the taxes? Like booze, there's a lot of money in marijuana. This is one battle the war on drugs has lost.